As Spider-Man once said, hey everyone. And as Spider-Man also once said, it's time to talk about the Bio Cup. He didn't actually say that, but let's pretend. So the preliminary round of the Bio Cup is over, and I'm gonna cover some of the mocks that were featured in that. In the past, I covered every single mock that was entered into the competition, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's very time consuming. And even though we're in lockdown, COVID, and all that sort of stuff, Ben is still very busy with university work and doesn't have time to do that. So I'm going to be covering in this episode 14, which is still a lot. 14 of my favorite entries into the competition, and if I've got time, I might do another episode covering some of the other entries into the preliminary round. Because, man, there were some really, really good ones. I had, like, a list of, 30 that I was like, these are the best. And then I was like, I'm not covering 30. I can't do that right now. Let me knock it down a bit. So there's a heck of a lot of really good entries. And again, even if I don't feature them in a second episode of the preliminary round, I will be featuring them in future episodes of the Bionicle Inspiration series for sure. Like I said at the start, when I announced in the podcast with Mitch, when I said I'd be doing the coverage for this, this was going to be a little bit of a toned down coverage of the Bio Cup. But I'm still going to give it my all and do the best I can with it. So really good job, everybody who entered. A lot of people, big turnout, and really high quality stuff. But that's enough about the Bio Cup. Let's, well, actually, quickly, before we do, let's talk about the people who won. So obviously there was a lot of people who entered and not everybody made it through, but a bunch of people did, and round one has begun. The round one theme is nature, and I will of course be doing an episode all about nature themed mocks, so stay tuned for that one. That should be out a couple days or so from now after I release this episode, I would say. So it might be a little bit later. Apologies for that one, but BioCup likes to finish their rounds exactly when I post a regular BIS or when I've posted another few videos, and so it's like I gotta have a bit of a gap in between videos and stuff, but it's fine. That's not a jab at the Bio Cup. I love them to death, so it's okay. But regardless, this was the mock that came in first place. This is by VB. It's called Still in the Fight. Such a cool mock. I'm not actually going to talk too much detail about the three winners here, but know that you've done fantastic work. So that's the mock by VB that came first. This is the mock that came second, which is by Tino Pautanen, and it's called The Hivemind. Tino, man, he does some incredible stuff, and this is definitely one of the incredible things that he is known for. Really, really cool. Great concept for the theme as well. And this is by Leonid Ahn, and it's called Masamune, the Silent Wanderer. Really, really cool face design on this. Love it. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about these, but I'm talking about 14 other mocks, so another time, perhaps. But know that you guys did a fantastic job. Congrats on getting first, second, and third. And congrats to all the people who advanced, and even congrats to the people who didn't advance, because you still built something. Good job. But let's talk about 14 mocks that were entered into the competition. These are some of my favorites. If I do future stuff, I'll just cover a whole random amount of them, and maybe I'll even talk a bit more detail about the winners. But enough talking about what I'm going to talk about, and let's talk about it. I'm going to power through these guys. This is Mr. Pirate, who has made this, and it's by... Ooh, I totally messed those two up. This is by Mr. Pirate, and it's called Trying to Be Human. So I love this because I think it's a very science fiction take on the sci-fi future theme. Because you kind of read a fair bit of science fiction stuff, or you watch science fiction movies. There's a fair bit of it that's about, like, what is it to be human, and, you know, robots that kind of gain sentience and all that sort of stuff, and I think this mock really kind of captures that. I love the contrast between the textures on this mock. This beautiful brown cloth has such a, you know, cloth-like texture to it, and then it's beautifully contrasted against the more sort of mechanical, sort of smooth, robotic, steel-like texture of the robot here. And even the book itself, the fact that it's a different color and that it is, again, a little bit of a subtly different texture to it, because it is more sort of system-heavy. Although the robot's system-heavy, but there's still a difference to it, you know? It's kind of this combination of different man-made elements and more sort of, I don't know, slightly more human-like elements. Whether that human-like element is actually the robot or that's the book on the cloth, that's up to you. But I think it's really heavily diving into very kind of quintessential science fiction themes of what is it to be human, and the contrasting textures here really reinforce that. I think this is a really good example of playing with textures, and also just a beautiful looking robot mock in general. Really great head design, love the use of tubing and stuff, and a brilliant execution in the photo too. It's really, really nice. This next mock is by Lemonade Mocks, and it's called B-33 Drone. So first off, it's a bee with a solar panel on it. Great idea. Elon Musk, take notes, because one, that's just a good idea in the real world, But as long as the bees aren't getting hurt, though. But 2, just a great idea, and I think it's really fitting of the future. It's sort of something you're like, that could happen. That could happen. So I like that. I like the wing design on this mock too, just sort of simply using some of those, I don't even know what you call those pieces, but they came in like one of the Uniter Beast sets that partnered up with Liwa. I think they're a slightly different color here, but works well for bee wings. It has a sort of slight robotic look to it, but also just looks like bee wings, so it's really fitting. But I also love the is it a thorax, the butt design on this mock here. Specifically how he's used some of those sort of circular pieces there to form the back of a bee. It's just a nice use of those pieces. They're kind of a difficult piece to use, and they appear in a whole bunch of different stuff. So it's really good to see that being put to good use. Great looking face for this mock too, very fitting for a bee. Some great part usages across the board on that one there. A really nice looking bee mock, and it fits the theme perfectly. This next one's by The Whimsical Brick, and it's called Get Your Own Hybrid Attire. So I'm going to read the description on this because I think this is a really, really, really clever take on the theme. And I know that the Biocup judges love clever takes on the theme, but honestly, Ben loves clever takes on the theme. Like, this one grabbed me mainly just because it was a very clever take on it. It's super fun just taking a look through the photo pool on Flickr and just looking at all the entries. If you haven't done it, please do, because it's a fun time. And just seeing how different people interpreted the theme of the future. It's just fascinating. And so I'll read the description out. It says, "Fashion never dies. In the late 21st century, the integration of hard shell attire became popular, leaving the full fabric outfit a relic of the past." That's cool. I like that. I like that idea of doing a future theme, looking at it from the future of fashion. That's a cool idea. I wouldn't have thought of doing that. I love it. And what I love so much about this is it does look very futuristic, but it's also sort of ingrained in little elements of the past. You know, the mask design here, I think, is kind of very reminiscent of different types of masks or masquerade masks or all sorts of different things. But the dress as well, it almost has a slight sort of kimono vibe or a slight sort of oriental vibe to it. It might just be in the sleeves, I don't know, but it also does look sort of slightly similar to what you might see on sort of more modern clothing as well, but there's just something new about it. It really does look like it's futuristic attire that's sort of an advancement of what we wear in the modern day and taken to new directions. I love that. There's something so realistic about it, and so I buy it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, that could very well be what we wear in the future. Definitely, I love that. I think it's a really, really clever take on the theme. Might be one of my favorite takes on it, honestly. Also, great part use of taking a Lego cloth piece and orientating it in a certain way with a rubber band so that it looks like a mask over that Ray face. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Brilliant job. Really nice work, Whimsical Brick. I love what you've done. And this mock is by probably my favorite name ever, Ooh Man Bing. Ooh Man Bing. Good job. Get it? And this mock is called the Hum of Machine. There's something so intrinsically Bionicle about this mock, and I love it. The idea of like a bird, but instead of having wings, it has these like jet rotor pieces, these like engines essentially. I love that. There's something so, like ingrained in the lore of Bionicle for me. Like I could easily see this being some Rahi that lives on Motunui or something. I love that idea. I love too this flower design, using some of those like ankle shin guard kind of pieces there as a sort of blooming flower. That's a really nice part use. And overall, it's just a really nice bird design, and I just love how he's used those jet turbine pieces from some Exoforce sets there for a really creative take on a bird. It's awesome. Really great way of playing with some pieces there. It's great. Good job. Nice work, Ooh Man Bing. This next one here is by Nismo Rigman, and it's called EP74. I love that I'm getting so many new names on this, by the way. It was awesome seeing just complete strangers or just new people, or people that I've just not really featured on BIS before entering into the Biocup. It's one of the awesome things about the Biocup. Just everyone comes out to play. It's great. But what I love so much about this mock is some of the like kind of thin curved limbs on this, specifically on the kind of lower legs and the arms on this mock here, using some tail pieces or some different kind of claw pieces. There's something so futuristic-y about that, and how that's beautifully kind of contrasted with these longer panels or these more kind of rounded shoulders and other sort of more circular elements on the torso. This is really kind of a great study of different sort of shapes and textures and how they integrate into each other, and there's something so futuristic about that. These very sleek, agile designs that sort of thin out and pop out and curve and kind of more angular in design. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. The color scheme too is very futuristic. That trans blue, the white, the black, those colors just go well together and just sort of evoke elements of the future. It's really nice. I love it. I love it. This sort of more irregular head design too. Again, very similar sort of shapes to it that have a futuristic feel. It's very, very nice. Really nice work. Normally I'd talk a bit more detail about these mocks, but I wanted to power through as many as I could. But so far, everyone's done a great job, by the way. This next mock's by Red, and it's called Quarantine Day 3694 Malfunction. I'm going to read the little description here. It says, fatal error occurred. Please stand by. Time elapsed 9,999 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. Very funny. I like that idea. So yeah, I love this take on a futuristic mock, this idea of, technology just sort of completely taking over humans, and, he's plugging himself into this computer or this sort of larger motherboard or something, and he's got all these different wires and tubes feeding into his head, and this complete brain-dead expression on this guy's face here is really well done. The jaw design, those teeth on it being used, the way that he's made that, stumbling over my words because it's really, really well done. He's used some of those, it's like a 1x2 connector piece that has 2 pin axles in it, but it's rubbery. It's a really nice piece, and he sort of shoved in a bunch of different small claw pieces, and so it kind of gives it this sort of irregularly shaped tooth design. Very well done. Very well done. Gives a brilliant, very full of life expression on this mock. It's great. Or full of life, full of a brain dead expression. Maybe that's not quite life, but you know what I mean. There's so much personality in this. I love that. It's a really great way of playing with some tubing. Great face design. So much personality. I love the pants on this mock. Just some Hero Factory shells, but it's a different color to everything else. It just pops. It's a good pants design, man. It works. It's really good. And it's very topical, being about quarantine and it never ending. That's good. I like it. Next mock, it's by Dead Man's Wrench, and it's called CHLOROS MK2. So, I'll read the description on this one too. 14 years ago, the CHLOROS interceptors were built for their speed and mobility in war. Now that peace has been established and war is over for good, a new use had to be found for them: delivering mail. I love that. That's a great idea. That's a fun idea. I love it. I love the little mailboxes this guy's holding here. And I love that it kind of doesn't look like he's made for that, but that's the point. I can see these robots just being like, what am I doing? Why am I delivering mail? Like, I have no purpose now, but this is my life. It's cool. I like it. Great color scheme on this. It does look very military-like, but it also kind of looks like something that could deliver post as well. I don't know. It kind of has these, it's not too in your face like camo or something. It's just kind of this dulled green that I'm like, yeah, I could see post, post trucks or post motorbikes or whatever that have that color scheme, Some of the Lego City sets that had like cargo stuff, some of the like cargo planes they've made in the past were green. So, it kind of works. I think one of my favorite things about this is the inclusion of the dish piece that's sort of on the sort of neck back of this mock. One of them has printing on it. It's on top of it is a sort of sand green dish, but underneath it, that one has printing on it. That's from an Overwatch set. Is it Wrecking Ball, I think the set was? I don't know my Overwatch names that well, I apologize. But it was a little hamster guy in his little green mech. That one had that printed dish on it. I think that the printing on that has a very futuristic look to it and fits the theme of the future perfectly. I think the little inclusion of some printed elements really, really takes this mock to another level. It's a simple thing, but it does a lot. I mean, I think the general structure and look of this already is beautiful, but that one little addition does a lot. I also love the leg design on this. It doesn't have any feet. It's just this sort of more interesting kind of lift arm beam design here. Kind of looks like, runners in the Olympics that have prosthetic limbs. They kind of have a similar sort of look like that. I like that idea. I think it works. I think it works really well. There's a lot going on here that I really, really like, both story-wise, playing around with different pieces, and just the general aesthetic and look. It's a great mock. Next one here. This is by Paleo Bricks, and it's called and Cyrus Peel. Look, I don't think I was supposed to know how to pronounce that one, so I just said some words. But I love this. It's a cool, astronaut dude in a spacesuit and a crazy-looking alien. Both of them have cool ray guns. It's great. It's, again, so ingrained in, like, kind of really classic science fiction. I love it. I love it a lot. Great to see that General Kenobi head being used here very, very well. I always like seeing people using that Obi-Wan Kenobi head because it does look like Obi-Wan Kenobi, yes, but it also works well as just a dude. It's one of those Bionicle or Star Wars Ultra Build heads that has a nice middle ground of it is that iconic character, but it can still be used very well in other things. So it's always cool to see people use it well, and this is a great example of that. The general sort of spacesuit around it, that sort of astronaut helmet, is very well done as well. Very seamless design, great colors, it really pops. And the little tripod leg design on this mock too is fantastic. The use of all the sort of trans purple elements very much makes it look alien. And all the different eyes on it, the fact that it has, well, 2 in this image, but it probably has 4 in total, 1 on each side. That's great. It's great. It's a very obscure, weird-looking alien. Very, very alien in nature. I love it, you know? Great idea to make it so different from a human and just make it have multiple legs, arms at the bottom of its butt, and 4 eyes and all craziness. It's cool. It's really cool. So another great take on the theme. Now, this one I love. This is Aardvark 17, and it's called Human of Tomorrow. There's something about the little photoshopped, like, line pattern on the sides or on the edges of this image here. It does so much. I like, the mock itself is nice, but I think if you hadn't put that little edge around the photo here, it wouldn't look as good. I don't know what it is, but it does so much. You know, maybe that's just me sounding crazy, but I think it does a lot. I think it really makes it look very futuristic. It's cool. It's cool. It's the power of a little bit of Photoshop or a little bit of editing in your images. It can actually go a long way, at least in my opinion. I think it just looks nice, you know? But let's talk about the mock, because the mock itself is really nice. I love the beautiful contrast with this crazy cool weapon being trans blue. That's very sort of futuristic in nature, as well as the sort of more irregular head design. It being this weird sort of oval shape with a big eye in the middle. It's cool. It's different. It's out there. It's futuristic. You know, I think that's certainly something that you can really do if you're planning on building a futuristic mock, is just go quite abstract, quite weird. And it'll work, you know, it's the future. I'm sure if you were, you know, if you lived about, 50, 60, 70, 100 years ago and you looked at modern technology, you'd be like, that is just weird and odd. Like, what is that, you know? And same could be said for if you travel 100 years into the future now. You'd be like, what? What is that? An iPhone 64? Why is it 3D and purple? What? You know, that weird stuff. I think that fits very nicely in the theme of the future. So yeah, it's a great little mock and some awesome editing. Good job. Now this one here is by Cody Avery and it's called Surrogate. Now I sent Cody a message when he posted this and I said, good job. This is my favorite entry into the contest so far. And I thought that would change as things progressed. I'm like, I say that now, but maybe it's changed. Nope. This is my favorite, man. I love it a lot. I like some of the ones that won, you know. VB's mock was really, really cool. That might be up there too, but there's something real nice about this, guys. I really like it. I really do. From the presentation, just the little vignette that he's included adds so much like humanity to this mock. Like he's living in this big wasteland, but he's found a little baby dinosaur man, and he's like, oh, I gotta save this. I gotta protect this and care for it. But it looks like this big evil war machine. It's like, oh, cool. I love that contrast. It's beautiful. But speaking of contrast is the word of the day today, guys. And it was also brought to you by the number 7, just like Sesame Street. Yes. I don't know why. I just said it, but it is. Enjoy. But no, I love the contrast between both the textures and the colors on this mock. The beautiful color blocking of having all the sort of white be on the top of this mock. So sort of like an armored shell over some of the more important bits, like the head and the back. But then underneath all of this black being some of the more delicate limbs on this mock. It looks cool. And then additionally the textures being blocked out as well within those colors, so that the black is this more sort of grittier mechanical look, and the top is this more sort of smoothed over shell. Very robotic in nature, very sort of futuristic looking as well. There's just something so lovely about that. Blocking both the textures and the color in the same way at the same time. Genius. Great idea. Does give it this very strong futuristic look. And I love the trans blue panels at the top, almost looking like spikes, but maybe being like solar panels too. It's just cool. The blue really pops. Little bits of yellow really pop too. The eye really pops as well. I'm going to stop talking about this because we'll be here for another hour because I really like this one. I think it's really, really cool. Great sense of story, great sense of character. Really great way of playing with a lot of your cool concepts of Bionicle, from colors, from textures, from just general aesthetic and storytelling. It nails them all for me. I really like this one. Cody Avery, man, he sent me an email one time. He's like, hey, I got some mocks for you to submit. And I was like, ooh, these are really nice. And I featured a bunch of them that he submitted. And now he's bringing out stuff like this. I'm like, Cody Avery, he's a guy to watch out for, guys. Give him a follow. Links in the description below. But good job, Cody. This one is by Lego David, and it's called the City of Utopia. Now, I believe David posted this pretty early on in the contest, He was one of the earlier entries, and I some of the, sort of like the first week or so, I was, oh, my chair's squeaking. I don't know if you can hear that. Stop, chair. Pretty early on, David posted this, and I was sort of checking in kind of every day in that first week, just seeing what people had posted. And then David posted this, and I was like, oh, this is my favorite for now. That changed when Cody posted his and stuff, but hey, it's still in my top 14, I guess. So really good job, Lego David. I think this is a really nice take on the theme. Always love a good little micro-scale city like this. Some really nice part usages across the board on this. I love that he included the little Hero Factory core at the top of the tower there. A Hero Factory tower, or the Makuhiro City Hero Factory, Could be that, or it could just be that, this is the H building by Mr. Henry, whatever. I think it's a fun addition and a great use of a Hero Factory core. Additionally, all the different green pieces here from Takeshi's green hair and a few other things. Little pops of green really helps. Makes it look very Utopia in nature. Little monorail as well, using some tail pieces and a few other things thrown in there. And all those slicer feet making up that one tower there. It's just a lot of nice part usages. It's fun to just kind of spend a bit of time looking at this and go like, oh, cool, look at all the clever things he's done. It's really cool. It's really nice. A fun little take on this theme, and I love my little micro scale stuff. It's always nice. So some good stuff there. This one is by Kelvin Lowe, and it's called Human Augmentation. Now, I love this. Really simple. The limbs are just Hero Factory bones and shells. And then he's figured out a nice apparatus at the bottom there to attach it all together to make it look like a hand. But the piece de resistance on this mock here is all these wires that feed into each individual finger. And they're just attached to some of the basic connections on some of those Hero Factory bone pieces there. And then they kind of feed into the bottom as well. But that little slight addition, that little pop of light bluish grey up against this sea of dark bluish grey, and a bit of silver thrown in there too, is beautiful. Is beautiful. And those little individual wires really give this hand life, make it look like it is a part of a larger robot, and it's just a lovely little pop of detail. It's the little details, man. Oh, I love them. I love them so much. But this is, super, super cool. Really nice hand design. Really nice playing around with pieces here. Just looks great. Really, really cool. There's a little note here on Flickr. Somebody said they would have loved to have seen like wires popping out of the very edge of this hand. Like this hand had kind of been cut off and fallen on the floor, and there's like red or blue wires like popping out or something. That's a cool idea. I would have liked to have seen that, but I still think this works as is. Really nice design. Next one by Ted Andres, and it's called Flying Staff Monk. So in the description here it says, the past is present in the future. Little quote he's thrown in there. And then in his description he also says, but what is the future? Is it getting old? Then is it getting knee and hip replacements? And then maybe an arm replacement too, for good measure? Oh, and big hats, because climate change and harsh UV rays. I like that little description here. I like the idea of age being put in here with the future as well. And I think this is another great example of the word of the day, contrast. This blue sphere. I like this idea of this older character holding this blue sphere. It, to me, seems very futuristic in nature, like this old wise sensei has found some strange artifact that gives you a glimpse into the future or something. Or, this is an older man who's living in a futuristic world, and this is new technology that he's holding or something. I think that's just really nice. That really big, strong pop of blue says so much. I love it. I also love this staff as well. Just all these different rods and lightsaber hilts and things, but getting a whole bunch of those handcuff pieces and then illegally attaching them with some Lord of the Rings rings, and then just placing in some of those breath mask pieces in there. It's beautiful. It's really nice. A lot of little details with some little Lego pieces put in there, and you get a really nice staff design, and it's gorgeous. I love all the ball joints too for this necklace, and I also love the beard design on this. Beautiful. Simple, but beautiful. Really, really nice mock here too. The final one now. This one is by Jafer, and it's called Cyberpunk. It's like punk, but it's cyber. That's the description there. Nice. It was great. It was great. A lot of personality in this. I love the head design, just straight up using a Bionicle G2 head design there. Not needing a mask on top of it. Works great. And then building a mohawk in the gap in the head there. Beautiful looking mohawk. Love the pop of color there with the pink. The collar design on this too. The little popped collar that he's got. He just looks cool with that. And the leg design. It's just some Hero Factory bone pieces, but he's just shoved a bunch of tires in there. And it works. It looks like he's got some snazzy jeans on or something, some snazzy pants. It's nice. Very, very simple leg and arm design, but it works. It works so well. A lot of personality packed into this guy. Love the stand too. It also makes it pop. Great colors. It's beautiful, very perfect for that future theme. So that's been 14 future mocks. Yay! It was only 24 minutes at the time of 26 minutes at the time of recording, maybe it'll be 24 when I cut it all down. But there you go. So good job everyone who entered so far. Really, really cool stuff in the cup so far. Like I said, if I've got time, I'll do another episode covering the preliminary round, and very soon, very, very soon, I will also post an episode for round 1, Nature. I'll do a BIS episode exclusively on that, so stay tuned and get excited for that one. I will be doing that as soon as I can. At the moment, I'm planning on posting this episode you're listening to now on Monday, and then I'll probably post that episode on Tuesday. That might change. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll be like, screw it, I'll post this a day early on Sunday and then post the other one on Monday. Or I'll change it up entirely because I'm feeling generous or something. We'll find out. But I've got your typical normal BIS that I've also got to post on Saturday and all sorts of craziness. It's a busy time. Lots of videos coming. So get excited. And then get excited for the future stuff that's coming out in the upcoming episodes and upcoming times of the Bio Cup, and we'll be covering it. Don't you worry. You'll be seeing it soon. So like I said earlier, links in the description to all the mocks you saw in today's video. Be sure to check all that stuff out there. Additionally, you can see links to my own social media. You can check all that out in the description below. And also there'll be links to the Bio Cup as well. So if you want to do like I said and have a look through the photo pool and just take a look at all the other awesome creations that were entered, you can do so there. Or you can join the Bio Cup Discord server and chat with other builders there. Perfect. That's it. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you in the next episode of the Bio Cup coverage. Or I'll see you in the next episode of the Bionicle Inspiration series on Saturday. Or I'll see you in another video I post. We'll find out. See you soon. Bye for now. Happy building.